Hi, welcome to Unscripted. As always, I'm so grateful for you to be here with us today. And with me is this lovely, beautiful guest, Laura.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate. Right now, people may not know, but you're not okay.
Yes.
You mentioned to me that you are in pain at this moment,
Yes.
but no one would know.
Yes.
Because you have a condition that I am trying to pronounce well on camera. I sort of got it off camera. So I'll try again, guys.
Okay.
Be kind. Fibromyalgia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see,
Perfect.
I still can't
Don't
say it as a full word.
Yeah.
So before we begin, you'll tell us more about what that is, but you
Okay.
can tell people who you are and why you're here today.
Okay. So my name is Laura Litaba. I am a normal Kenyan like everyone else, trying to make it in this world. And I think basically why I'm here is to share my journey and my story of dealing with fibromyalgia from literally the time I was young to the place I'm at right now. And so what fibromyalgia is basically in layman terms is a condition that causes widespread pain all over the body, and it affects literally every single part of your body, be it stomach problems where you'd have IBS, be it chest problems where you'd have costochondritis, be it insomnia because you can't sleep, be it nausea sometimes, weakness in the legs, and even right now you may see me fidgeting, but it's called something called restless legs, where you can't stay in one place the whole time. Yeah, sensitivity to clothes. I've had to give out a lot of my clothes.
What, the fabric?
Yes, the fabric. So I'd either feel itchy or the pain will be worse than it is. Even sometimes sensitivity to light. So like now I can't go to concerts because the noise is quite loud and it actually causes physical pain. So it affects literally every single part, yeah, of the body.
So you can't even really see a specialist, because all those are different specialists
Yes.
that would treat that.
Yes. So
how do you
the thing that we usually do is we see our doctor. The doctor we usually go to is a rheumatologist. So they have dealt with patients who have fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
They have seen us and continue to help us as the best way that they can. But because of all those other things, even if you went to see, like if I went to see an ophthalmologist for the eyes, or I went to see a guy for the head, for MRI scans, everything comes out normal.
Oh, really?
Everything is fine. You won't find any issue in it. And so we end up spending so much money in doing tests left, front, right, and center to try and figure out what it is. But honestly, your blood tests will come out normal, your scans will come out normal. So it's just...
So for a period, was there a time where doctors or your family would tell you it's in your head?
Oh, yeah.
Because if everything is looking normal...
Oh, yes. That's a common statement with people who have fibromyalgia. You always hear, oh, it's in your head, or you just need to get over it, you know, you'll be fine. And yet it's really hard. The good thing that I'm grateful for is I have parents and friends and family members who have understood it, yes, and are more sensitive. But then there are people who have come and told me, no, this is all in your head. You just, and then when they see me walking with the crutches, they just think it's the legs. So I'm like, oh no, you just need to go for exercise. You just need to walk around. And I'm like, okay.
Everyone has a solution.
Yes, oh yes. Everybody will tell you, try this, no, do this, do this. So there's even a time I posted on Instagram and I'm like, okay, I think now I'm going to drink water only. Because one person will tell you vegetables are good, the other person will tell you, no, they're bad. Someone will tell you, no, protein is good, the other person will tell you, no, it's
so
bad.
Like, you know what? I'll have my water.
Exactly.
That will do.
At least I know that is completely fine. So
again, still, like this is still like a fuzz in my mind.
Yes.
So it's causes widespread pain.
Yes. Yes.
For those watching at home and myself.
Yes.
How is it caused and what exactly happens to the body? Can someone catch it? Was it traced to, are there answers?
I've been a sick child for most of my life. So I had ulcers. There was a time.
Since you were how old?
I think I started with ulcers when I was like 9 years old, yes. So I had ulcers, would be in and out of school, then had chest issues, would be in and out of school, then I'd have headaches, be in and out of school. So basically, most of the patients who have fibromyalgia, you realize that you had a crazy medical background where you treat basically the symptoms. Symptoms. Exactly. So you would see that I can't breathe. So like, okay, that one, give her, asthma. So give her the medicine for that. So that has basically been my story. And then when it came to about 2011, I started having migraines that weren't going with Panadol. And I'm like, what are these? And I couldn't tell what would cause them. And I'd go for CT scans, MRIs, couldn't find what was the problem.
And your pressure was okay?
My everything was okay. And then that's the thing that confuses the doctors, especially doctors who haven't dealt with fibromyalgia. So then now in 2016, my auntie told me, no, probably go see, because I started having chest pains, intense chest pains. And I went to see a chest specialist. She told me I had rheumatoid arthritis. Again, that's another thing we usually have where you get a lot of misdiagnosis. So I knew, okay, rheumatoid arthritis, I'm in campus second year, it's fine. I'll just manage with it. Took the medicine and it didn't work. So then that's when I was told, okay, go see a rheumatologist who's a specialist in rheumatoid arthritis who can then help you and give you answers. So when I went to see him, he again gave me a whole list of tests to do left, front, right, and center. And having done that, they do an elimination process. So he asked me questions like, have you been feeling pain on both sides of the body, both the left side and the right side? How long has the pain been? Has it been more than 3 months? Do you have these other symptoms like insomnia or all these other things that come with it? And then lastly, he pressed certain parts called pressure points, which was a method they used to use. They keep changing the methods, how they test and see it. And he'd press me and see the places where I'm either swollen or in pain. And that's when he told me, yeah, you have fibromyalgia, sorry. Yeah, so
when you heard that, what came to mind? What did you think?
I honestly didn't believe
he was
it.
talking.
And I remember that day, it was literally a blur because I was in the office with my mom in his office, and he's explaining to mom, and I'm just like, I'm in campus, this doesn't exist, I'll continue with life. So I literally continued with life without even taking medication because I'm like, this doesn't exist. I mean, who's ever had
what was the medication treating?
Basically the symptoms. Okay. So painkillers or things to help me sleep or things to help me calm my nerves or things to, so basically just treating the symptoms that fibro has, So I didn't believe it for a long time and I was in denial. So even friends, even friends now who are seeing me in this much pain, they're like, but Laura, you are fine, like in high school and university. And I'm like, no.
I was in pain, you just didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So I'd even miss classes. Sometimes it would be hard to even just walk to classes because I was staying in the campus in Daystar. So it would be hard and all that. But I hid that from my friends because they're thinking, I'll be fine. I'll be good. I'll be all right. But then now slowly it started progressing. So you probably, like, the symptoms I started with were the chest pain, weakness, and fatigue. But as you continue, the symptoms keep coming. So there's no particular answer from the medical world as to what causes it, and there's no particular answer as to how to cure it. So it's always a trial and error, trying different medicines. Yes, exactly, to try and somewhat function.
I see. Yeah. And how is it having to go through? I mean, that takes a toll, I'd imagine.
Oh yes.
Whether it's mentally, physically, even emotionally, like that's a lot for a young girl in campus to handle. I mean, you think of exams,
exactly,
and your career, but here you are, your health. How has that been for you?
It's been hard, and I think the first few years when I was diagnosed with it, as I said, I lived in denial. So I continued life like everyone else, go for trips, go hang out with friends, and continue with life. So the only thing I do is, because I know the cold weather is a huge trigger to increase more pain, I would now just like layer up. Yes, exactly. So I'd layer up. So like even now I'm wearing like 2 trousers, because I always have to keep warm. So for the most part of it, I was in denial. Then 2018, the symptoms just went from 0 to 100.
What happened?
And Okay, so what they usually say is you have, when you get infections, sometimes it causes something called a flare-up. And a flare-up is now when all your symptoms for that illness will come up. So there are some people with fibromyalgia who would be fine for like 6 months, then this 1 month they're down, and that's the flare-up. But now for me, I knew, I mean, it's just a month and I'll be fine. But it moved to 2 months, 3 months, 6 months.
So what was happening to your body?
At that point now, it's like the symptoms were getting worse.
All
it
of
was
them?
hard, yeah, all of them.
What were you experiencing?
So it was hard to move around. So I had to get the crutches. I'd get migraines where I can't literally do anything. Migraines just paralyze me. Then it's hard to sleep, but at the same time, I'm very sleepy. And then I'd have problems with my stomach. So one day I'm constipated, another day I'm constantly running to the toilet. And then I'd have chest pain that is very intense. In fact, if you don't have fibro, you'd think it's a heart attack that you're having. And you'd go to the hospital and you're told you're fine. It's just part of the symptoms of fibromyalgia. And I'd have muscle pain, nerve pain. I'd have twitches all over my body that are painful. So during that period, yeah, it's a lot. And there are even others that I've probably forgotten. But then that's now the point when the symptoms started increasing slowly, and became worse. So I knew after a month or two I'll be fine. But it took longer than usual, and I had to leave work. I had to move back home with my parents, and I know that took a huge toll, especially on my mental health.
Once you did manage to finish university.
Oh yes, I did manage to
working,
finish. Yes.
Doing your own thing.
Yes.
Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah, so I'd even moved out, and I'm thinking, yes, finally I can start my life, you know, as an adult. And then that moving back home, that now having to go back to mom and dad, please give me money for airtime, please give me. So that took a huge toll on my mental health. And I know the whole of 2019 was a mess for me. It was really bad. I think it's the place where I hit rock bottom mentally. I became suicidal. I became very depressed. I didn't want to see friends. I didn't want to see family. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to go anywhere. And so because of that, then my parents said then I think it's best to start seeing a psychologist. So that's when I started seeing, so I started seeing a lady called Mary, and she's been helping me slowly every step of the way. But yeah, I can't say that period has completely ended, because even till now there are those days where I'll hit rock bottom and it'll be quite hard. But then at least now I know how to get back up to a place. Yeah.
Before we go on a break, what does rock bottom look like? What thoughts run through your mind?
I don't need to be on earth. I don't need to be in this much pain, honestly. Let me just leave the stress that I'm giving everyone to take care of me and be there for me. Let me just end this all once and for all. So that's
like
rock bottom. Yes.
To your parents?
Yes. And my friends and everyone who's helping. Yeah.
Have you shared this with them?
Sometimes. But especially with the people I live with, it's hard, because then they get to see the everyday crying, the everyday pain, the everyday. So I try to shield them from that side. But then some of my friends, I then tell them, I'm bad. I'm at a bad place. And I'm so grateful for how they just are there to pour love on me and show me that I'm special.
You're not shielding.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Let's take a short break. We'll be right back, and stay right there. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Before the break, Laura, you were painting a picture of what living with fibromyalgia is like. Yeah. And it sounds like, for me, I'm sitting here, how do you cope? Like, it's hard to understand how almost every part of your body is in pain, excruciating pain. Before the break, you mentioned you would feel like a burden, having to have people take care of you or see you in that state. But it's key, I think, for anyone to have a safe space, you know, that they can just be, whatever state you're in. And do you have that in those moments? Would you go to? And how has that helped you?
I think at first I thought that everyone was my safe space.
Yeah.
So everyone who would come home to visit, everyone who would be calling and checking in, I believed that they were my safe space. But sometimes when you're having this condition, there are things that people would say that would trigger your mental state to go from 0 to bad and horrible. For example, someone would come and say, you know, I had a dream that, you know, you'll be well tomorrow, you'll be fine.
And that
tomorrow,
would trigger.
yeah, so now tomorrow I wake up and I'm in twice the amount of pain, and I'm like, why would you say such things? Or someone would say, no, don't worry, you just need to take this and this, and tomorrow you'll be fine. And I'm like, surely, guys, like, I'm the one who's in this every single day, and I know they mean well. I know they're there for me and want to help me, but some of these things sometimes would make my mental state worse. And so then, instead of now thinking that everyone you're welcome. So instead of thinking that everyone was my safe space, I now had to narrow down, and especially my close friends, I tell them, all I need for you is just to be here. Just
I was going to ask, so what does safe space mean?
Exactly.
Just presence.
Yeah. Just be here. Let's talk about everything else. You can ask me how I'm feeling, but don't jump to you'll be okay. Don't jump to, oh yeah, I know a friend who knows a friend who has this medicine who will help, because you can imagine I'm getting that advice from 16 million people. That's an exaggeration, but so many people at the same time. And I just need someone to be there. Just make me feel normal, at least, even just for a few minutes, for a few days. And so I have a small group of friends that I usually run to, and even sometimes without me knowing, they'll plan a surprise visit and come over with cake and things like those. So yeah,
so things like
this. Yeah, so that really helps. And like, especially in the house, I know there was a long time where my parents and my brothers, they want the best for me. And they'd wake up saying, Laura, I'm praying for you, you know, tomorrow you'll be well. And I'm like, guys, I know you mean well, but it's not helping me. Just, if you want to pray for me, you know, pray from wherever you are. Just stand with me. But then the constant hearing that you'll be well, then wake up and you're worse. You'll be well, wake up, and you have a new disease that has come on top of everything. That was hard, but then I'm glad at least they've come to the place where they understand that this is my journey, as well as theirs, and so they give me the space that I need, as well as my friends.
I like how you've mentioned whatever situation you're in, a difficult one that the outside world would never or not understand. Be careful with your words and what you say. Sometimes you mean well. It really does come from a good heart. But you've just shed light that sometimes it doesn't sit well. Sit well with you on the other end. But I like that you mentioned that to help you feel normal. For you, what is that like? What do you like to do that makes you feel normal and okay? What are your distractions in the midst of living with all that pain? What does that look like?
Some of the things I like to do is going for swimming. I loved going swimming even before I fell ill. And that's one of the things that the doctors really tell me to continue doing, because it's also helpful for my body. So
it's a great exercise.
Exactly, So I go for as much swimming as I can. But the challenge with Nairobi is the weather is...
Right? It's just not our friend.
Exactly. So it's hard to do that here. So what sometimes my friends do is they raise money and take me like on a trip to coast, which is really nice because it's a change of atmosphere. Then I get to swim from morning till evening, and the weather is much easier on my body.
And the heated pool, does that help?
The heated pool helps.
But still, if it's cold and
yes, because now when I get out, then now the cold hits me. So I like to do that. Other times, in fact, I was telling my friends, ask me which series and movies are the best on Netflix, and I'll tell you. Because most of the time you can't do anything and you're trying to look for things to distract you. So I watch as many Netflix movies and series just to get my mind off the pain that I'm in. Then most of the times when the pain is very intense to the point of crying, I just sleep, because the sleeping makes me forget the here and now.
And some time passes.
Yes, exactly. So I sleep, then I wake up and I'm like, all my friends are working, are getting married, are moving on in life, and here I'm at. So then what I tried to do was, thanks to Corona, people are now more acceptable to doing work online.
Remotely.
So yeah, so I've been able to get a few things here and there,
God.
yes, to do online, to be able to at least earn a coin or so, to be able to still pay the, you know, the medical bills and everything.
And also to keep you busy.
Yes,
and
to keep me
attention
busy.
to something else.
Yes, but even with that, in fact, like even just these last 2 weeks, I had to tell my clients I can't do anything because my body has been in so much pain these last few weeks. So I'm grateful then that I have clients who understand me, and then are able to tell me, okay, take the rest you need. Then when your body feels like you're able to come back, then come back. So those are some of the distractions that I have.
There's something you also mentioned now, that you look at your friends and you're like, oh, they're working or they're getting married or whatever.
Yeah.
From that, those things you've mentioned, what do you grieve most?
I grieve everything.
That you wish you were doing or that you could do?
I grieve the fact that, in fact, even just recently, when I was trying to plan a trip to Coast, I grieve the fact that I can't just wake up and leave. I have to have someone who will help me push the wheelchair, because sometimes I use a wheelchair to move around, especially long distances. I need to have someone to help me get out of bed. I need to have someone to help me move, carry something from one place to another. So I grieve the fact that I can't just up and leave as I would before. I grieve my own space. I love staying with my parents and my siblings, but you get to the place where you just want your own space. But I can't have that without having someone else in the house. So even just the thought of moving out, I can't just say I have enough money and I'm out. I have to think of so many things. I grieve the fact that my life can't continue as normally as I have wanted it to. In the example that my friends have gotten scholarships, opportunities to go to the States, the UK, to go for camps, to go for... I can't do those things right now, especially if it means leaving the country, because I have to think again, who will be there? Who will help me along the way? Who will carry this for me? Who will... So all those things, in fact, and till date, I think I haven't talked to my friends for about a month.
Yeah?
Because anytime I talk to them, there are great things happening in their lives. And I'm so happy and rejoicing with them. But it reminds me of the place I'm at, that I can't continue life as they are continuing, with the highs, the lows. So for me, I always feel like it's a low, 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 low. And even sometimes on Instagram, I try to block my friends or just mute their posts, because I see, oh, they're hanging out together. That's something I would have done if I was well, but now I can't do it, and it now starts eating me, and I feel so horrible. So there are times when I call it a self-care break, where I just don't communicate with anyone from either my friends or anything, and don't view their statuses, just to recenter myself and remind myself that this is my journey. This is my walk. And then now that's when I come out and I'm like, hi, what's happening in your life? What's going on? But also the thing that really bothers me, especially when I'm talking to friends, not really necessarily bother, but reminds me of where I'm at, is they'll share, oh yeah, you know, I got a job, I lost it, now I have another one, and they'll be telling me all that. And then they now obviously would ask me, how are you? And I'm like, I'm tired of saying I'm not okay. I'm tired of saying that I'm in pain. I'm tired of saying I'm sick. I'm tired of saying that I'm in the same place 24/7. So those are some of the times when I'm just like, no, let me take a break. When I'm able to talk about how I'm feeling and where I'm at mentally, emotionally, physically, then I can come out and talk.
I believe in seasons like this, having like minds around you is so important and so key. Because there's understanding. I believe there's more empathy. And even within, because I feel like, I mean, you can meet someone else who's like you. And there could be healing or in a different state, which gives you hope. And you can do things together. So do you have a space like that?
Yes, there are actually, I was able to find around 50 other people who have the same condition in Kenya. So we have a WhatsApp group where people share their highs and their lows, and that has been really helpful, because sometimes you'll have a pain.
You're not alone.
And then sometimes you even think that it's in your head. So I'd post on the group and be like, guys, has anyone ever felt this pain in the chest where it feels like a heart attack? And you see 10 other people say, yeah, I've had, you and me have been told this and this. So I'm like, yeah, it's not in my head. Someone else understands my walk and my journey. So I'm super grateful for them and for them sharing their walk and me sharing mine. So that's been a very nice support group for me. Yes. Yeah.
What are the myths surrounding your condition, and have you sought alternative options in terms of treatment, and how has that been?
Yes, so as the first myth is that it's all in your head. So that's what I'm just like, guys, no, that's not the case. Yeah. And then there are very many myths that different people have, but the thing that I've tried to focus on is my walk and my journey. Okay. So what happened was immediately I felt like now it became really bad in 2018. There were all sorts of people who came around us telling us, oh, you know, you could try this, and these are alternative things like herbal things, health-wise. So be it trying a different diet, be it taking a certain medicine every morning and evening.
Meditation.
Yeah, meditation, changing my lifestyle. Literally, it's everything. A whole lot of things. And in fact, I was sharing with someone, I think we've spent almost 1 million Kenya shillings trying to figure out how to make myself just be stable. And all this money, I'm so grateful, has come from friends, has come from family members who've contributed to try and help me be in a place where I can function, because I'm like, okay, this is a condition that I may have for the rest of my life, but I'd like to be at a place where I can say, yes, I can get married. Yes, I can move out of the country. Yes, I can do this even with this pain, but it's been somewhat been put quietly at least, or some sort of thing. So the herbal medicine has sometimes worked for a few days, has backfired, and we keep trying this and trying that and trying this. So till now, I can't tell you one sort of medicine or one thing that has completely worked, even just from the doctor's prescriptions. So it's always trial, error. And then some medicines, like I know there's one that the doctor was giving me that causes adding of weight. So someone would come and tell me, Laura, you need to lose weight. I'm like, I'm not even eating, because sometimes I don't even eat because of my stomach. But then now, because of the medicines, they cause all sorts of side effects. So those are the things that I'm taking right now, and just hoping that one day we'll figure out the one thing or the few things that would work. Yeah.
Something's got to give, eh?
Yes.
We'll be right back. Let's take a short break. Welcome back. Thank you for waiting patiently. I hope you washed your hands, you got some tea, and we're about to wrap up. But before we finish, Laura, before the break, you mentioned something. You said you desire to be married, or to travel the world, or to do this and that. What's the one thing you really want to do, and how do you deal with that reality every day? How do you overcome whatever emotions come to mind?
Yeah, the one thing that I really loved doing is traveling. Traveling, going everywhere, literally. In fact, there was a point my parents would tell me, we also want to spend time with you. Stop going everywhere, because I'd be at this person's place, that person's place. So that's one thing that I really miss and wish I could do, like even just with these deals that you can hear of going to Dubai at an affordable price. So those are things that I wish I could do. But when those thoughts come to mind, I'm like, okay, this is my new normal. So even though it's not possible for me to just up and leave, I still can do this. I just now need to think of more things than I would have at that given time. So I'm still trying to see how I'll make those dreams come true. But yeah, I'm now trying to live life as this is my new normal, because living in the place of saying I'll get better never used to help. So
what is the new mantra now?
So the new mantra is, this is my life. So let's
figure this out.
Yeah, how to do this. So if it's taking an Uber, let's figure out how to take an Uber like this. Let's not wait till I get better. If it's going for events, let's figure out how to go for events while I'm like this.
Because it gives you control, doesn't it?
Yes.
What are, through this experience, since you're 9 years old, and I guess as an adult is when it aggravated even more. If you could, are there lessons, or how is having this condition. I'm not able to say it at the end of the show. What have you learned from this journey? Or what are you learning from this experience?
I think some of the things I grew up knowing have been undone in this season of my life. And an example is, especially if you grew up in the Christian faith, you're told nothing bad happens to people who worship God and serve God. So I remember,
it's not true, but
exactly, but you see, you're given that notion.
God is just there with you.
Exactly. The so even it came to a point where people would come and tell me, Laura, what is that sin you've committed that is making you still be in this pain? And I'm like, that, and so that at some point I actually believed there's something wrong I've done, that's causing all this pain. But then unlearning these truths and knowing, no, God allows hurt, He allows pain. He may take it away from your life. He may allow you to continue this journey with it. And so those are some things that I've been unlearning and relearning in this season of my life.
I like that you pointed that out, the faith part. So how have you seen Him differently through this journey?
Oh, there was a point I was not talking to Him.
I
was just like, because I would really love to sing, and I was in the worship team.
I can tell from your voice.
Oh, thank you.
Also?
Yes,
I can tell.
So I used to, in fact, I think I started in the worship team when I was 14, all the way till I was like 20, 21. And I'm like, God, I've served you. Like, I've given my life, my youth to you, and this is what you're giving me in return. People pray for cars, they get them. People pray for opportunities, they get them. I'm asking you for healing, and you're not doing anything. I'm not talking to you. So there was a whole point where I was very distant, and anything, someone would mention something about God, I'm like, don't even bring it here. I don't want to hear about it. But then...
What changed?
Yes, so now I was listening to a preacher called Tim Keller.
Oh, I love him.
Yes, he's amazing.
Like on his podcast every day, but go ahead.
Yes, exactly, the podcast, And I like the fact that he speaks about pain and being a Christian. And bringing the...
He actually has cancer. He was struggling with cancer.
Yes, exactly. And so seeing his stories, listening to his sermons helped me then change my view. And I also read a book of a lady called Johnny Erickson Tada. She's a lady who was completely fine, didn't have any illness. When she was 23, dove into a lake, and she was paralyzed until now, when she's 70, from her shoulder down. And she was just explaining how she was questioning God and asking God and going through that whole process. And the one thing she ended the book by saying is that if my paraplegic condition brings one person to the cross or brings one person into the kingdom, then all of this is worth it. And I'm like, yeah.
Did that challenge
you? Yes.
Convict you?
I was like, now that's my mantra from now on. And I'm like, if going to all these hospitals, if waking up very many mornings and I can't work, if constantly crying in my bedroom because of the pain brings one person to the cross or brings one person closer to God, then all of this is worth it.
Wow. I feel like that's where you end the show. But because I need to continue and I want to keep you here, what would you tell someone who is at the brink of, I'm done, like where you were before? In your faith, in yourself. Tell me the times you didn't want to take the medication. It can take a toll, because I assume you must take it all the time.
Yes.
What would you tell that person at home now?
I tell them, I honestly don't understand where you're at right now. No one can. Only you can understand the place you're at. And it can feel like it's very hard. It can feel like you don't have any strength for tomorrow. You don't have any hope for tomorrow. It feels like you're alone in this journey. It feels like there's no one who's listening to you. But then take it a second at a time, an hour at a time, a day at a time. You will find strength that you didn't even know you had in you, and God's grace is sufficient. And I always tell myself, if I wake up and find myself here on planet Earth, then there's a reason why God wants me here, and He'll give me the strength, and He'll give me the grace, and give me the support that I need to face tomorrow's minute, to face next month's minute. So hold tight, hold strong, cry if you need to, ask questions if you need to, but God is there.
Laura, what, in light, of what you've gone through, your whole adult life so far, right? What are some of the achievements you are grateful for and you'd like to highlight and celebrate today?
I think the one thing is that I was able to finish school because
Exactly.
I did.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I was diagnosed, when I was 2 years into campus, I actually thought I'd have to defer because of how intense the pain was. But I'm grateful that I was able to graduate, even get a job and all those things. And I know, especially when now the condition worsened, it was hard to go to an employer and tell them, so I'm great at what I do, but I don't know which day I'll come into work and which day I won't. I don't know how I'll be feeling. Exactly. Yeah. So for a long time, I didn't have any work, and so I was still depending on my parents. But I'm so grateful that even though COVID came and caused havoc in people's lives, I'm grateful that the other side of it was that it opened doors for me to be able to work online. So now I'm able to pay my own bills, medical, whatever it is, online. And even through that, I've even been teaching people how to work online. So I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So those are some of the highlights that I'm grateful for, that I've been able to accomplish even while in this condition. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yes.
Super. So what's the one thing you wish people at home or people, you know, in the public, families or friends understood about your condition?
When someone tells you they're in pain, please believe them. And fibromyalgia is one thing that is called an invisible illness, because even as you see me right now, you think, but this girl is fine, she's completely okay. But the thing with fibromyalgia is it's a quiet illness that only the person who's wearing the shoe actually feels it. And so like right now, I'm having back pain, knee pain, hand pain. I can feel a twitch that's aching and a migraine that's starting to come. But then when someone tells you they have fibromyalgia or an illness like this that you can't really see, just be there for them. All we need is for you to just be there, hold our hands, give us hugs when we need them, give us gifts. We love gifts, be it snacks or whatever. Yes. So just be there. You don't need to tell us that everything will be fine. You don't have to speak. Just you being there and believing us and believing that we're in this amount of pain is more than we could ever ask for. Yeah.
I think overall every human being is, or we crave and desire to be understood. And I think the biggest love language is presence. So thank you for emphasizing that and empathy. So thank you for sharing your story. Thank you. We wish you all the very best. Thank you. I love that through it all, like you said, may God get his glory, right? That's sort of understood towards the end. But we still wish you well in healing. Thank you. Hope I'm allowed to say that.
Yes.
And to you at home, anyone who, maybe you're one of the people with a condition, or those who've never heard of this before like myself, I hope today you have gotten some enlightenment. We hope we've created a bit of awareness, even though it's not too much, but just a bit, so that next time you meet someone who has this condition, you will believe them, and just be there for them in however way that they need.